meeting Mr. Colburn. He's a doctor. He came to a health conference that I attended about 5 years ago. And every year since, I've stopped at his office here in Washington and left as much material of CERA as I can. And he is, I know he's just a fighter. He's really a great congressman. And it's real proud for me again to have this panel. And this goes back to when Roland Morris first showed up at a CERA conference and got to know him. And talking to Roland, he told me about how life was on the reservation. And then he also told me many times about how hard it was to get away, how they kept urging him to stay and come back, and you'll never make it. You know, you just don't have the willpower. You're an Indian. You can't make it. You know, you're a victim. And the pressure was enormous. But he stood up to him, and he came out, and he was successful. He started a upholstery business. And he raised his children off the reservation. He just didn't want them raised on the reservation. And then the joy of meeting Scott Kayla Morrison and then Vince Hill. And we've had some successes, then we've had some kind of bumpy roads, and it's because of political pressure. Connie Bowman, another one, Navajo from down there in Arizona, and it's the political pressure they get at home and how brave they have to be to even come here. Todd Fasthorse last year, while going to the airport, was almost driven off the road by a tribal member swerving into him. You know, it's just the pressure they get from their leaders and how they can get persecuted, housing and everything. And so it just is a real joy for me to have Eddie Gray Owl here, and a new member, Mashkua, and Dennis Williams, who's a great stalwart with us, and a great addition to the CERA family here for many years, and Todd Fasthorse, who came last year, and I had the joy of working with Todd all through this year. He just helped make my year. I had a great year this year. I'll be the last one to talk. I'll tell you all about it. Right now, first of all, we'll meet with, or listen to Todd. Come on up. Give Todd a great hand.
Good morning. Once again, my name is Todd Fasthorse. I am from the Rosebud Indian Reservation located in south central South Dakota. Thank you, Howard, and thank you, CERA, for allowing me this opportunity to come in and give you the point of view from the inside looking out. I think. How's that? Can you hear me now? Yeah. All right. When you talk about trust and trust responsibility for individual Indians, I think that's we have to look at what cost trust is. I have asked the superintendent on many occasions concerning civil rights, constitutional rights, and just all the issues affecting individual Indians. And the superintendent has not responded, or chooses not to respond to my letters. I believe his duty, as he sees it, as the Bureau sees it, is his duty is to the governing body of the tribe, and they're supposed to be elected representatives to represent the people. Well, we've all heard the horror stories about tribal governments, and for the Rosebud Sioux tribe, it's no different. They have their own election code, they have their own election board, and they openly violate tribal members' civil rights, supported by the tribal courts. So there is no election process on the Rosebud. It's the same people that appear to appoint themselves election year after election year. And that's unfortunate because they are supposed to represent the people, but they do not. They represent their own selfish interests. And their selfish interests include their families. They're the benefactors of the $110 million that comes in federal funding. So there's a small percentage, probably 18%, that benefit from that federal funding. And the majority of our people are, as you say, persecuted, retaliated against through the governing body and issues like that. I believe Darrell made a good point. I am from the 5th poorest county in America. Our unemployment is about 80%. And one of the questions that I have is as I've spoken last night to some of the CERA members, that we've been getting close to $100 million in federal funding since the 1934 Act. You know, and at what cost is it costing the taxpayer to fund these 564 tribes? I'm sure it's in the trillions of dollars. And yet, here it is 2010, and we're still one of the poorest counties in America. So that's an issue that needs to be looked at. You know, what is the total dollar amount? And I believe that we need to educate America on the failed Indian policy and what it is costing each taxpayer. So that's something that I want to talk about and that I want to work towards. I believe the problem lies within the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And Dario F. Robertson wrote an article, and it's titled, "Time to Abolish the BIA." And I think anybody can look that up on the internet, and I'd ask each of you to look it up and read that story. There's actually Robert Burnett, who was the tribal chairman for a while in the 70s when the Rosebud Sioux tribe was progressive and moving forward. They put together 9 recommendations to Congress of how to fix the problem in Indian country, and I believe those recommendations are important. You'll see that in the 70s there was a lot of a big push towards change in Indian country and change in federal Indian policy. And thereafter it died down, and it just went away. There's hardly anything on the internet about it. So, how many people here have access to internet? Okay, how many people are on Facebook? Well, I want to encourage every one of you to get on Facebook. It was for college students at one time and students, but now I think the parents have found out how powerful this tool is, and they've taken it over. I'm on Facebook. I have approximately 1,900 friends that I talk to every day, and I published, I was on MySpace last time we spoke, and that kind of went away. Facebook is just more powerful. You can do a lot more things with Facebook. So one of the things I did was publish the story, and I had approximately 1,600 people visit this article that I published by Dario F. Robertson, and you know, I think most of my friends are Native American. I know a lot of people, so I added them, and it's amazing that they'll come and they'll read things that I post, articles that I post, but they don't want to take action. And it's a scary thing to take action in Indian country. Again, when you're persecuted, retaliated by tribal government, it becomes a scary thing. And I hope that, you know, CERA can listen to individual tribal members that are calling for help. I know that we did some work, and I hope that you talk about that, about the corrupt elections in Indian country. It's really important when people reach out for help that there be someone there to listen and let them know that someone does care. Because when someone writes and asks for help, they're willing to make changes, but again, when there's no help available, you know, they'll crawl back in that hole and they'll stay in that hole. So, in this story, in this article, they talk about reform. And three of the obstacles to reform that they listed were congressional indifference. Now, Congress, a lot of Congress doesn't know about Indian country. And we need to educate them. And not just from the outside looking in, but from the inside looking out. And I think there's a lot of people out there that know how things are inside tribal government. And I can honestly say that is a failure. The Bureau is a failure. And through Facebook, again, I posted this article, and then I went to change.org. And there you can create these petitions for Congress. And so I put that, through my petition, I wrote to my congressional delegation. It went to Senator Thune, Senator Johnson, Congresswoman Herseth, to end the Bureau of Indian Affairs because of failed federal policy. And I also clicked on there that I wrote to President Obama. So anyway, 26 non-Indians signed my petition so far. But again, over 1,600 people visited that page. So I think it's huge that the majority of, it shows the majority of my people are willing to look at the issues, but they're failing to take action because of fear. So the second obstacle to reform is of course the BIA's political power. And the third one is Indian internalization. And I think that says it all. You know, when I post things, I get some really good comments. I've been on some radio shows, and I've talked about the issues in Indian country, and I think education, again, is the key. I've got blessing and support from my family to come here, from my elders. I've got a strong group of elders at home that understand where I'm coming from, and you know, they support what I'm doing because they understand that at one time, for the tribe, the individual Indian was everything for the tribe. And now we have a tribal government that is thoroughly corrupt. And, you know, I think the statistics talk about themselves, the suicide rates, the violence, the domestic abuse, all the issues that are affecting Indian country tell the story that federal Indian policy is a failure. I think through our letter writing process that Attorney General Holder, as you've seen, went out to Indian country and he spoke with, on 2 occasions, tribal leaders. Now the tribal leaders pointed to our children as the problem. They accepted no responsibility for their actions, their corrupt actions. And usually when someone's corrupt, they're going to point the finger at somebody else. The third session was supposed to be with individual Indians, and that was in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So a lot of the lobbyists for the tribes and the tribal leaders went to their people and they said, well, we can't have individual Indians exposing the problems in Indian country, because what are they going to do? Well, they're going to point to a corrupt government and a corrupt system. So, lo and behold, the individual Indian meeting with Attorney General Holder turned into invitation only by the tribal chairman. So I didn't get to go and meet with Mr. Holder, but my sister, who hosts a radio show, was there in protest. And there was a good 50 to 70 people. She said that they just barged into the meeting and demanded to be heard. So I think that was a powerful thing for Mr. Holder. So I don't want to take up a lot of time, but again, I want to encourage everybody to join Facebook. Todd Curtis Fast Horse or Todd C. Fast Horse, add me. and get all your friends to add you. Now, once we do that, we can network and we can talk about these issues. When people put petitions out there to contact your congressional delegation, I can also contact mine about those issues. I can sign those petitions. So if you go to change.org, you can talk about those petitions and it goes straight to your congressional delegation. And then it goes straight to mine. So what Leanne was speaking about, that's a petition that needs to go on change.org, post it on Facebook, so all your friends can do it. The internet is an amazing thing, and it's a powerful thing. I believe somebody just wrote an article about that, of how it's going to affect politics. And, you know, my congressional delegation, their staffers, I went on Facebook and I tried to add them. Look, you know, they don't want to add me. They're well aware of my outspokenness of tribal corruption. They know the issues because I keep them informed. Every time that they come to my reservation, I go there with a white paper and I hand deliver that to them and ask them to give it to my senators and my congresswoman. But they don't seem to want to be my friend, but that's okay. All right, I got 3 minutes left, so I think with that, you know, again, I hope CERA and you as individuals and your friends add me on Facebook and we move forward, network together. I want to ask one thing, that when you go to visit your congressional people on the Hill, is to give me a dollar amount. Since 1934, I would like to know that amount of money that's been given to 564 recognized tribes. Because I believe with an amount like that I'll move forward and I'll go to the Tea Party and I'll take it nationwide to talk about the problems in Indian culture, because again, with them trillions of dollars, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed since 1934. It's only gotten more corrupt. And with that, I think I'll turn the mic back over.
Mr. Mashku.